Chapter 8, The Turning Point. Ria's world had crumbled in an instant, and the days that followed her termination felt like an endless nightmare. The once vibrant spark in her eyes dimmed, replaced by a heavy cloud of despair. She couldn't bring herself to return to the office. The thought of facing the very place that had betrayed her was unbearable. Instead, she spent her days in isolation, grappling with the betrayal of Samir, the whispers of doubt clawing at her mind. For days passed, each one blending into the next, marked only by the overwhelming silence that enveloped her. Her friends reached out, concern etched across their faces, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. She felt like a pawn in a game she didn't understand, manipulated by powerful forces beyond her control. Then, a spark ignited within her. Ria refused to be a victim any longer. She had fought too hard to let the darkness win. Gathering her resolve, she made a decision that would change everything. She would fight back. She wouldn't let them take her without a fight. Ria spent hours researching her rights, poring over legal documents and seeking counsel. With each page she turned, her anger transformed into determination. She couldn't rely on anyone else to protect her. She had to take matters into her own hands. The whispers of doubt began to fade, replaced by a fierce resolve that coursed through her veins. Finally, she put pen to paper, drafting a legal notice. She would not go quietly. The notice outlined her wrongful termination, the harassment she had faced, and the emotional distress it had caused her. She demanded answers and justice, declaring her intent to hold the company accountable for its actions. Once it was ready, Ria felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. She had taken a stand, and she was ready to fight for her future. With a deep breath, she sent the notice, sealing it with a resolve she hadn't felt in days. As the notice left her hands, Ria felt a weight lift from her shoulders. This was her declaration of independence, a commitment to herself that she would not be silenced. No longer would she allow fear to dictate her life. She was reclaiming her narrative. Meanwhile, across town, Samir sat in his office, staring blankly at the termination email. The reality of Ria's absence was a heavy weight on his heart. He had lost her, and he felt the crushing guilt of his inaction suffocating him. Every moment that passed without her felt like a step deeper into despair. But then a notification pinged on his phone. It was a legal notice, and his breath caught in his throat as he read the first few lines. Ria had taken action. She was fighting back. The realization hit him like a tidal wave, crashing over him with a mix of dread and admiration. He had underestimated her strength, her resilience. As he continued to read, a spark of hope ignited within him. Ria was no longer a victim, she was becoming a warrior. But the thought of her facing off against Arvind and the corrupt management alone sent chills down his spine. Samir's heart raced with a mix of fear and pride. He knew he had to act, to reach out to her, to stand by her side, but he was still trapped in his own web of despair. The shadows that surrounded him felt heavier than ever, but Ria's resolve lit a flicker of determination within him. He couldn't let her fight this battle alone. He had to find a way to connect with her, to offer his support, even if it meant defying the darkness that had held him captive for too long. Ria was taking her stand, and it was time for him to do the same. With renewed purpose, Samir began to plot his next move. He would find a way to reach Ria, to help her navigate the treacherous path ahead. The battle was far from over, but he knew that together, they could confront the darkness and reclaim the lives that had been stolen from them. How does Ria's decision to fight back inspire you? Do you think her actions will have a lasting impact on her sense of self-worth? What do you think motivated Samir to finally take action after receiving Ria's legal notice? How important is it for him to join her in this fight? In the face of overwhelming odds, Ria chooses empowerment over despair. How do you think this turning point will shape her relationship with Samir moving forward? Ria and Samir are both dealing with isolation but in different ways. How do you think they can support each other to break free from the darkness surrounding them? What challenges do you foresee Rhea facing as she goes up against powerful forces like Arvind and the corrupt management? How can Samir help her navigate these obstacles? See you again with Chapter 9, Silent Whispers of Love.